As I settled into my cozy Manhattan apartment after a long day of work, the familiar sights and sounds of the city outside provided a comforting vibe to my evening routine. But as I went about my usual tasks, a sense of unease began to gnaw at the edges of my consciousness, like a shadow creeping across my mind. I brushed it off as stress, attributing it to the pressures of urban living. Yet, as the night wore on and the streets below grew quieter, the feeling only intensified, a whisper of danger lurking just beyond the safety of my walls. The creak of floorboards behind me snapped me out of my reverie, and I turned to see a figure standing in the doorway, their features obscured by the dim light. My heart pounded in my chest as I watched them step into the room, their movements slow and deliberate. Panic surged through me as I realized that I was not alone in my own home, a stranger invading the sanctity of my space with unknown intentions. Before I could react, they lunged at me with a glinting knife, their eyes filled with a primal intensity that sent a chill down my spine. Instinct took over as I dodged their attack, stumbling backward in a desperate bid for escape. With adrenaline coursing through my veins, I raced through the apartment, my heart racing as I searched for a way out. But the intruder was relentless, their footsteps echoing ominously behind me as they pursued me through the dimly lit corridors. Each second felt like an eternity as I fought to stay one step ahead, my mind racing with fear and uncertainty. But just as I felt myself growing weary, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. With a burst of energy, I reached the front door, flinging it open and stumbling out into the cool night air. Gasping for breath, I glanced back at the apartment building, the adrenaline still coursing through my veins as I watched the shadowy figure disappear into the darkness. Though I had escaped with my life, the memory of that terrifying encounter would haunt me for years to come, a constant reminder of the dangers that lurked just beyond the safety of my own home. And as I stood there trembling and shaken, I knew that I could never truly feel safe again in the bustling streets of Manhattan. I planned to move soon. The peace of the forest enveloped me as I ventured deeper into the wilderness, the crunch of leaves beneath my boots the only sound breaking the silence. It was supposed to be a peaceful escape from the chaos of everyday life, a chance to reconnect with nature and clear my mind. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the forest floor, a sense of unease settled over me like a heavy blanket. I brushed it off as nerves, chalking it up to the unfamiliarity of my surroundings. Yet, as I continued along the winding trail, the feeling only intensified, a nagging voice in the back of my mind warning me of impending danger. The rustle of leaves behind me snapped me out of my thoughts, and I turned to see a figure emerging from the shadows, their features obscured by the dim light. My heart skipped a beat as a chill ran down my spine, instinctively telling me to run. But before I could react, the stranger lunged at me with a glinting blade, their eyes filled with a primal intensity that sent a wave of terror coursing through me. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I stumbled backward, narrowly avoiding the deadly strike. With a surge of panic-fueled energy, I sprinted through the dense foliage, branches clawing at my skin as I fought to put distance between myself and my assailant. The forest seemed to close in around me, the once familiar landscape now a maze of shadows and uncertainty. Every snap of a twig, every whisper of the wind, sent my heart racing, my mind consumed with the fear of being caught. But as I pushed forward, driven by sheer determination to survive, a glimmer of hope flickered in the darkness. Ahead, I could see the faint glow of civilization, a beacon of safety in the endless expanse of trees. With renewed vigor, I pushed myself to the brink, my lungs burning with exertion as I raced towards the distant light. Finally breaking free from the suffocating embrace of the forest, I stumbled into the clearing, collapsing onto the soft grass with a gasp of relief. Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes as I realized how close I had come to meeting my end, a sobering reminder of the fragility of life in the wild. But even as I lay there, shaking and exhausted, I knew that the ordeal was far from over. The memory of the attacker would haunt me for years to come, a constant reminder of the dangers that lurked just beyond the safety of civilization. And though I had escaped with my life, I knew that I would never truly be free from the shadow of that fateful night in the forest. I never expected a night of music and laughter to turn into a fight for my life. As I stepped into the pulsating crowd at the concert, the excitement in the air was palpable. The venue was packed, bodies pressed tightly together as the stage lights flashed and the speakers boomed with the rhythm of the music. I blended in seamlessly, just another face lost in the sea of eager fans. But amidst the cheers and the pounding bass, I felt a pair of eyes lingering on me, sending shivers down my spine. Ignoring the uneasy feeling, I brushed it off as paranoia, attributing it to the thrills of the event. But as the night progressed, the sensation persisted, growing more intense with each passing minute. It was as though someone was watching me, studying my every move with horrible intent. Despite the unease, I continued to dance and sing along with the crowd, trying to shake off the creeping sense of dread. But when the lights dimmed for an interlude, a shadowy figure emerged from the throng, their face obscured by the darkness. My heart skipped a beat as I watched them approach, a sense of foreboding washing over me like a tidal wave. Before I could react, they lunged at me with a gleaming blade, their intentions clear in the glint of their eyes. Instinct kicked in, and I dodged their attack, stumbling backward in shock. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I fought to escape, pushing through the panicked crowd in a desperate bid for safety. With each step, I could hear the person's footsteps closing in, their breath hot on my neck as they pursued me relentlessly. Desperation lent me speed as I bolted towards the exit, the echoes of chaos reverberating around me. My heart pounded in my chest, threatening to burst as I raced against time, my mind a whirlwind of fear and confusion. Finally reaching safety outside, I collapsed onto the pavement, gasping for breath and shaking with terror. As the adrenaline subsided, the reality of what had almost transpired sunk in, leaving me trembling in disbelief. Who was that person? And why had they targeted me? I couldn't shake the feeling of being hunted, even as I made my way home under the watchful gaze of the streetlights. The encounter haunted me long after the concert ended, a chilling reminder of how quickly life can turn from joyous to perilous. And though I survived that night, the memory of the would-be attacker lingered, a chilling specter that refused to be banished from my thoughts. From that moment on, I vowed to never take my safety for granted, knowing that evil could lurk in even the most unexpected of places. The experience changed me, leaving behind scars that would never fully heal. It reminded me of the fragility of life in a world where danger lurked around every corner.